Alright, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to talk about the Christensen Arms Ridgeline, and this review is going to be something for everyone, and I'll go over all the different things I've been doing with the rifle. So again, I'm not going to talk about specs. Those kinds of things bore me on reviews. You can go get those off the website. Sorry if you're the kind of guy that'd like to have those discussed in the review, but I don't want to waste your time. So as you can see, this is not how it came out of the box. So we'll go ahead and talk about, we'll go ahead and start at the front. So I picked mine up at a box store. There are many different options. I think that you can even have some things changed if you order it straight from Christensen, but it came with a radial port brake, and it worked fine. It had great recoil reduction qualities, but I do almost all my shooting prone, and it just blew too much dust in my face. So I swapped it out for a Slayer brake, and I'll probably talk about that a little bit more in depth in a different review. But I've got a couple plugs pulled out of the top. It definitely is a better brake. Like I said, the radial port brake does the job, but this one will allow me with this lightweight rifle to spot my shots long range, which is mandatory for me. Do a lot of solo hunting, and I like to know, as a matter of fact, I kind of think you need to know if you hit the animal, and you're not going to be able to do that with a lot of brakes. Let's go down. So I did shoot this with some factory ammo. It did shoot 180 grain bullets. This particular rifle here is a 30 Nosler, so the 180 grain Nosler bullets right out of the box shot pretty well with the factory stock, factory setup. Definitely met the 1 minute mark that they set. Actually a little bit better, and I think with bedding the stock, you'll get pretty small groups, and I'll talk about that here in a second. So I've swapped that stock out for a Stockies long range carbon fiber, and you can see I've had it dipped in Cuyo Verde. It is bedded, the rifle's bedded into this stock. Again, for shooting prone, this is the stock that I prefer. This or a Manor ZH1. I'm doing a review. You can already see the first impressions and overview of this stock. I will do a follow-up review on it as well. Talk about how I feel about it and how it compares to other stocks out there. So, kind of summarize what I just said about the stocks. This stock is my preferred. The factory will do the job, and I really don't think for this kind of shooting that the stock will affect the inherent accuracy of the rifle. You could sit here and talk about how it affects your ability to shoot the rifle accurately all day long, and I'm a very strong proponent of that. That is the #1 reason why I've swapped the stock out. The factory stock will do everything that this stock will do accuracy wise. It's just a little harder for me to shoot it that way. So we'll go ahead and stop right there and then talk a little bit more about those 180 factory ammo. With this setup, it will shoot them almost every time in the 2s or the 3s. It's got a couple long range groups that are half minute. I'm not going to waste a lot of time doing it. I just wanted to see what it would do, because I prefer 215 grain burgers in the 30 caliber, and we'll come back to that in a second. So stock wise, the factory bought stock it came with is going to be a good option for a lot of people. It's a classic style stock, and it does well. Again, when I started the video, I said this was going to cover a lot of different things for a lot of people. So we'll go ahead and go back to come to the trigger, and then I think we'll wrap up the out of the box portion for people. It came with a TriggerTech trigger out of the box, and my initial impressions were very high of the TriggerTech trigger. This gun with the TriggerTech was not my first dealings with the TriggerTech. I've been running them since shortly after they came out. You know, all the things they talk about are a lot of the selling points of triggers in the industry today. You know, 1.5 pounds for the trigger brake for the normal trigger, no over travel, no creep. The internals are something that's probably going to hold up a little bit better than some other triggers in dirty conditions. I'm not really going to get into it. I will have another follow-up video on triggers. I've switched this out for a jewel, and I'll talk about that in depth in the trigger reviews or discussion of triggers. I don't like not being able to adjust some over travel in. Again, if you want to talk more about that or hear more about that, just look for a review down the road. But again, the Trigger Tech trigger that comes in it, it's going to suit a lot of people very well. It is a nice trigger. So out of the box, factory setup, 180s in the 30 Nosler factory ammo, it's going to shoot great for you. There are some other reviews out there that are out of the box 300 Win Mag, and they're shooting ABM 215 grain burgers. Again, right out of the box, little tiny groups. So I think for the price out of the box, for what you get, it is a lot of gun, and it's going to be really hard to beat that right now for anything else out there. Now I'll go ahead and touch real quick on some shortcomings of it. This action has all of the downfalls of the 700 Remington action, so to speak. It has a very stiff bolt. The bolt lift or the cocking timing is incorrect. The ramp is cut at too steep of an angle, and then it gets clear up to the top, and then it's already cocked probably around 70 degrees. It makes the bolt lift really difficult. It also has cock on close, so due again to the timing issues there, you get this clunk here, which a custom action isn't going to have. So couple of things there. The other thing is, I'll talk about this here in a second. I actually have the same setup in a 28 Nosler Christensen Ridgeline, same stock, same brake, and it's a little bit better in this aspect, but they don't have, this one actually has almost zero, if not zero, primary extraction. And for factory ammo or the first couple of reloads on the brass, it's not a problem. Matter of fact, I knew it had not very great primary extraction when I first got it, just checking it out and stuff, but didn't really notice there was a problem until I got to the fourth reloading yesterday of the brass. I went and checked. It's not a sizing issue. The brass is getting sized as I would expect. Again, if you're just going to shoot factory ammo, or if you keep your reloads in check, brass in check, that probably won't be an issue for you, but it is something to mention. Just like I talked about in the Mesa video, it does have side bolt release, which I really can't stand the release under here, so side bolt release is a big plus. It's got fluting, mostly cosmetics. It's not going to reduce a lot of weight. It does have an M16 style extractor, which is my favorite, and then it's got dual ejectors. I don't really know that it makes a giant difference, but it's there. Shroud fluting, bolt knob fluting. Okay, so we've already discussed how it is out of the box, who that you know, I guess you can decide if that's something you want, if it's going to suit your needs. I feel it's a great bargain for the price. Now, really what started me down the road for even purchasing this is what could this gun be for a relatively low price for long-range hunting firearm that would suit my needs, and what I really think most guys out there doing long-range hunting are kind of leaning towards these days, especially if you want a lightweight long-range hunter. Swapping out this stock, the Slayer brake, the trigger, the pieces that it come with are going to have some value for for what it's worth to you. Maybe you want to keep them around, put them in a different rifle, but you can sell the stock for probably a couple $100. You can sell the factory trigger for probably around $100, and you can probably get, you know, $100 out of the break if you're not in a hurry, or maybe you just want to keep them around. But you can get into this rifle realistically for under $2,500, probably set up similar to this. I've got load with Rotumbo in the 30 Nosler, shooting 2 15 grain burgers, that is shooting consistently under half minute. It's more realistically closer to quarter minute. It's shooting great long range groups, even with this complete setup, with this Citron S3, the pick rail, Seekins rings, minus the bipod, with this front rail for the bipod. This setup is coming in at 9 pounds. I can spot my shots down at anywhere from 100 yards to 900, which is as far as I've taken it to this point, as long as I do my part, and you know, I make mistakes, but for the most part you can spot your shots, and that's pretty impressive for a rifle this light and the accuracy it's given. And I've spent $4,000 on custom rifles, and this thing will shoot with them, and it's actually a little bit lighter. So there it is. I'll put in some pictures or video clips of some groups that shot with the factory ammo. I'll show some groups that shot with my hand loads, and you can take a look at those. Alright, here you've got the only group I shot at longer range. This is 690 yards with factory 180 AccuBonds. That group is right at half minute. I did shoot at some steel real quick just to make sure I had at least a close zero, and I wasn't going to be wasting much ammo downrange, you know, because of the different ammo with the it being zeroed for my hand loads with 215s, and it did put, I don't know, 5 or 6 rounds under a dime at, I think it was 185 yards. So if you wanted to shoot the factory ammo, I think it would be a safe bet to say that this is going to meet their 1 MOA guarantee. If you were going to shoot factory ammo, 30 Nosler would not be my choice. I would probably go with a 300 Win Mag and shoot the ABM ammo with the 215 grain burgers. And if it didn't like it, which I seriously doubt it wouldn't, but it would give you a lot of options for other factory ammos. And if you wanted to reload, I'm sure it would do very well. So just show you what this rifle is capable of with factory. This is the 30 Nosler Ridgeline. So I'll kind of go out of order here, but this was after load development, and I was actually zeroing the rifle for the final time. I shot these two here. They measured 0.2 center to center. I made a scope adjustment, and then I shot those two right there. They measured 0.32 center to center. I made one click up and then shot that final one, which, had I not clicked, would have been right in the middle of that group. So there's a couple there, like I said, after load development was done. Alright, this was doing the OCW right out of the gate. This is with 215 burgers. These are actually at the lands. We got 80.5, 81.0, and 81.5. And if you overlap these two, all were in this group. So you had this flyer here on the 81.5 and the 81.0. You had this flyer here. I actually went ahead and stayed with this, although technically the 81 probably would have been better to use for the optimal charge weight. But in my experience in the past, as the barrel breaks in and gets to somewhere between 100 and 200 rounds, it usually speeds up a little, and I have to back it down anyways, so I chose to stay with 80.5. Okay, and this was the seating depth check. You can see here 10 off the lands. I actually messed up. I shot these first two right here, and then this last one I was actually aiming here instead of at the black dot, which pushed it over to the right. It still measured 0.280, so it's pretty easy to see that it prefers to be 10 thousandths off. Take another look here. Just verifying that 80.5, 10 thousandths off, repeated the cold bore, made the group 0.370. Alright, so here are the one of the first groups I shot with the rifle at 870 yards. These three in the blue are the ones we're looking at. The one in the red just happens to have landed in that group. It's actually with a different break on the rifle. But with the Slayer break, the 80.5 grains of Retumbo with the Burger 215, 10 thousandths off, that's what we got. Alright, so here we've got, after the last group I showed you, the bullets started walking up on the target with no changes. I took it back to 100 yards and it did exactly what I had anticipated, only it did it a little bit more. So I started playing again. I actually backed it down to 79.9 grains of Retumbo and then took it out and shot this group at 690 yards. So there it is. The barrel started breaking in and started to speed up a little bit, and I had to back it down to get back to where I had started. And you can see here I was playing around a little bit trying to get the windage right for a final longer range sight in to make sure everything was right. Again, the lower charge from what I originally had developed, 79.9 grains of Retumbo, still 10 thousandths off with the Burger 215s. That was actually with a different group before I made an adjustment. But the last adjustment here, these three right here, really good vertical, and the horizontal wasn't too bad. It was blowing about gusting 5 to 10 miles per hour that day. So I think we've looked at enough groups here. It's easy to see that the rifle will shoot. So there you go. Again, I think I'll go ahead and recap. Right out of the box, this rifle is very accurate. The price is great. You know, I think you can pick one up for around $1,900, and it'll be a light, accurate backpacking rifle. It's capable of shooting long distance if you are good at shooting or practice shooting with a classic stock. The break is very effective, trigger is nice, and it'll get the job done. Now, for those that don't like the way it's set up, again, we'll go ahead and go over that. Swap out the brake. You can pick and choose which pieces of this you want to upgrade, if you do even want to upgrade it. So swap out the brake for a Slayer brake. Your stock of choice could be a McMillan, could be a Manners, could be this stocky stock. Swap it out. Maybe you like the trigger, maybe you don't like the trigger. Swap the trigger out. You've got a nice, lightweight, very capable long-range hunting rifle for under $2,500. So, thanks for watching. Have a good day.